Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport and get the help you need to finance your own EV or clean energy future. And by Energy Sage. Visit the link in the description to find local, verified solar experts, heat pump specialists, and community solar projects in your area. And by Atmos Financial. Bank better with a financial technology company that's powered by a portfolio of clean energy investments. Welcome back to another episode of TEN, Transport Evolved News. Thanks for joining me. I know that some of you are curious about why some of our past TEN episodes from the last year were given sudden edits and/or disappeared this week, and I wanted to let you know that all is well. Despite some of the excellent joke reasons given by you lovely people in the comments, there is nothing bad going on. But we did, on an advertiser request, have to make some changes to some of our past ad reads to ensure 100% accuracy and compliance with current regulations, and cutting out ad segments was the easiest way to do it for past videos. Because while I do sometimes play a time-travelling border collie from time to time, I don't actually have a time machine. We start today with the official reveal of Porsche's all-new Macan EV. Revealed midweek, the ground-up redesign of Porsche's popular SUV packs some impressive specifications inside a fairly familiar form, but makes use of Porsche's all-new 800-volt, 95-kilowatt-hour usable PPE platform. At launch, there will be a choice of Macan 4 or Macan Turbo models, both with dual-motor all-wheel drive. The entry-level offers 300 kilowatts at the wheels and up to 381 miles, 613 kilometres of range on the WLTP test cycle. Meanwhile, the Macan Turbo offers 470 kilowatts and 367 miles, 591 kilometres, as well as a 3.3-second sprint time. I'm sure we'll have more, including pricing, very soon. Tesla published its fourth quarter and year-end results on Wednesday this week, and while it had a record-breaking year in terms of sales and production, it missed on earnings in Q4. Recording $25.167 billion in revenue during the fourth quarter versus the $25.64 billion that Wall Street had hoped for, Tesla's quarter ended with adjusted earnings of 71 cents per share, down 2 cents on what Wall Street had hoped it would be. Year on year, Tesla's total gross profit took a hit, down 23% year on year. And while its total shareholder profit was up 115% year over year, its adjusted earnings was down 39%. That, combined with warnings from Elon Musk that Tesla sales are likely going to cool this year due to a drop in demand, caused Wall Street to react negatively to what was otherwise a reasonable report from Tesla. At the time of filming this on Thursday, Tesla's share price has dropped about 13% this week. Aptera published an update video this week in which it laid out some more details about its upcoming battery partnership with battery specialist CTNS. The two firms signed a master supply agreement at the tail end of last year, and in this week's update, Aptera detailed the $5 million investment made in it by CTNS and confirmed that CTNS, which currently produces battery cells for the robotics industry, will validate and produce the first few hundred production battery packs for Aptera at its facilities in Korea, with plans thereafter to establish a dedicated production battery line at Aptera's facility in Carlsbad, California. While Aptera is still carrying out final validation testing of the production battery BMS, we're told that both battery pack and finished BMS are nearing completion. And yes, in case you're curious, all prototype Apteras I've driven to date used a much smaller engineering battery pack for testing. After what feels like an age, Tesla has finally begun to roll out FSD beta version 12.1.2 to to select customers for testing. It's long been heralded by Tesla CEO Elon Musk as the version to bring single end-to-end neural net driving to FSD beta, which, as Fred Lambert from Electrek noted this week, is basically shorthand for saying that the software was coded by AI rather than human engineers. Tesla has been testing it internally for some time and promising it for nearly a year, but this is the first time non-Tesla employees have been given a chance to test it. So far, it seems like many testers like the more natural speed control of version 12.1.2, but Tesla also appears to be rolling this one out very slowly for extra cautious initial public testing. Over the last year, the use and safety of e-bikes, e-scooters and e-motorcycles has become a particularly hot-button topic in many major metropolitan areas. Aside from concerns over e-scooter use and parking, battery fires caused by substandard battery packs included in more budget-oriented models has all caused some e-scooter and e-bike bans, and now the mayor of New York City, Mayor Eric Adams, has said he wants to establish a new municipal department focused on electric micromobility, specifically the regulation of micromobility e-scooters, e-bicycles and e-mopeds, as well as electric motorcycles, all used in the city's massive package and food delivery fleet. If established, it will be charged with registering and regulating electric micromobility in the city, both in terms of use and also in terms of standards, to help ensure battery packs and vehicles and operators meet required safety standard. Spurred on by the increasingly obvious effects of anthropogenic climate change around the world governments are now promising tougher emission standards for cars, along with total internal combustion engine sales bans in the not-too-distant future. But data published this week by the European Court of Auditors shows the stark reality that we're now facing in our push towards a cleaner world. The average emissions of new internal combustion engine vehicles haven't really changed much in the last 12 years. Over the past decade, it states, diesel vehicle emissions have remained about the same, and while emissions have gradually fallen for gasoline vehicles, a 10% increase in vehicle weight and 25% increase in engine power over the same period has nullified most emission reductions. The reason why overall emissions do appear to be falling? That's down to electric vehicles. Without them, we'd be looking at an increase in CO2 emissions. With more and more Tesla Cybertruck reservation holders getting hold of their new shiny trucks, we're starting to hear some interesting feedback from those early adopters. While the majority of Cybertruck owners are enamoured with the way their truck drives, there's a very obvious gap appearing between Tesla's claimed charging speed and range for the same, with the two drivers who helped one particular Cybertruck reach 10,000 miles already stating publicly that they're seeing an average range of around 206 miles per charge when full and 164 miles per charge when they charge to 80% full. That is a massive difference to the 320 miles of range Tesla advertises with all-terrain tyres. That said, the weather in the United States has been terrible for the last month, and at least one of the owners of that 10,000-mile Cybertruck say they drive, quote, aggressively. As is often the case, your mileage will vary. I can drain my Ford F-150 Lightning Extended Range's battery pack in less than 170 miles if I drive it like I stole it, but I regularly in everyday driving see well over 300 miles possible. So, yeah, let's not put too much into this, eh? In order for the US electrical grid to get a lot greener, we're going to need to see a whole lot more deployment of renewable energy. And this week, the US federal government updated its solar roadmap for the nation, unlocking 22 million acres of publicly owned land for permitting for photovoltaic solar farms. It expands the original 2012 Western Solar Plan of the Bureau of Land Management for Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah to add potential sites in Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. The official press release pledges that the BLM will work hard with local communities and tribal governments to permit solar farms in areas that have, quote, fewer sensitive resources, less conflict with other uses of public lands, and close proximity to transmission lines, end quote. While electrical vertical takeoff and landing vehicles have become something of a perennial promise of the tech industry, one eVTOL company, Archer Aviation, is making some serious waves of late. Aside from delivering examples of its Midnight eVTOL craft to the US Air Force for extended evaluation for military use, the company announced this week that it signed a Space Act agreement with NASA to engage in testing of high-performance battery cells with a view to eventually develop batteries and safety testing for advanced air mobility and space applications. As part of the project, NASA will work with Archer Aviation to carry out high-speed X-ray imaging of Archer's cylindrical cells at the European Synchrotron Radiation Facility to better understand what happens when battery cells are pushed to the absolute limit. We'll definitely be keeping our eyes on this one, for sure. In order to transition our world transportation away from fossil fuel and towards something better, we need everyone, not just the wealthy, to be able to come along for the journey. This past week, we've seen two very important steps in that process. First, the form of a massive tranche of funding released by the US federal government to improve and establish much-needed reliable passenger rail network in the US. And secondly, on Friday last week, the US Treasury Department released additional guidance for the revised 30C tax credit system designed to cover up to 30% of the cost of EV charging installations for both individuals and businesses in, quote, eligible census tracts, end quote. The guidance will focus on low-income communities and non-urban areas, both of which have traditionally been ignored by EV charging infrastructure deployment. Bring it. Our short shorts are coming in a moment, but first a word from one of today's long-standing video sponsors, Energy Sage. Energy Sage helps homeowners connect with local, verified solar installers across the US and now heat pump specialists in select markets who really know their stuff and can help you navigate the process of installing solar panels, joining a community solar program, or getting a heat pump installed. I used Energy Sage when we were looking for installers willing to help us put solar panels on the roof of our home, and our Energy Sage verified installers were professional, knowledgeable, and even put us in touch with an amazing credit union that allowed us to finance our solar panels for as low a monthly payment as possible. Follow the links below to sign up for either of Energy Sage's free, no-obligation services and get the ball rolling today. If you choose to use an Energy Sage installer for your project, we will get a small referral fee, so you'll be helping the channel out too. And now, it's time for Short Shorts. Apple has seemingly shelved its plans to develop a fully autonomous car, but as reporting this week from Bloomberg states, the Apple Car project is still going ahead, with plans to bring an EV with traditional controls to market sometime around 2028. News reports from Asia this week shows that two new large deposits of lithium have been discovered, one in the Chinese province of Sichuan and one in the province of Phang Nga in Thailand. Both deposits contain an estimated 14.8 million tonnes of lithium deposits. We're all familiar with the troubling problem of cars being stolen to order and parts being stolen off ICE vehicles for order. But one Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo owner in Germany had their headlights stolen this week, with the thieves cutting away the metal surrounding them and pulling the lights off. At the tail end of last week, Ford announced a new bronze appearance package for the Mustang Mach E GT. Along with new upgrades across the GT model lineup, the bronze package has a not-quite bronze-green paint job and promises future optional performance upgrades to make it the fastest Mach E to date. The centre-right European People's Party, the largest party campaigning for the new European Parliament across Europe, appears to be readying itself to promise to delay Europe's ICE car ban if elected. Given the amount of anti-EV FUD around lately, this is very troubling. Stellantis unveiled its newest electric vehicle platform this week, the STLA Large. Designed to underpin the company's largest vehicle segments, it promises a choice of 4 or 800-volt battery and will launch first with Dodge and Jeep vehicles in the coming year. During Tesla's quarterly earnings call this week, Elon Musk confirmed that plans for a $25,000 Tesla EV are in full swing, with the vehicle codenamed Redwood due to enter into production in mid-2025 if it remains on schedule. Volkswagen confirmed this week that the majority of its 2023 and 2024 model year ID4 cars are eligible for a full $7,500 federal tax credit. Model eligibility depends on the origin of the battery pack and its internal components. That said, over in Europe at Volkswagen's Zwickau facility, a shortage of electric motors is still causing production issues. According to Handelsblatt, the facility is still operating at a significantly reduced capacity, and there are similar issues mirrored at Skoda's nearby Enyaq facility. During its quarterly earnings call this week, Tesla confirmed that the previous bottleneck in 4680 form factor cells it had been experiencing has now cleared, with Tesla having many weeks' worth of cells in inventory. Tesla plans to add more cell production lines at Gigafactory Texas this year. GM's Brightdrop has issued a recall for 66 examples of its EV600 delivery vehicle. It will address a faulty front drive unit that may leak oil and ultimately result in a fire. It's not clear from the recall notice what exactly is causing the fire, but we're going to guess overheating transmissions are involved. Lucid Motors has opened the expansion of its Arizona production facility, where it makes US market Lucid Air sedans. With the new expansion open, preparations can begin for new production lines where the Lucid Gravity SUV will be made. FreeWire Technologies has signed an agreement with GM Energy to provide GM Energy commercial customers with its range of charging solutions. FreeWire DC charging units include battery packs to allow high-power charging even when grid power capacity is limited. Ford has confirmed that it is slowing down F-150 Lightning production, citing what it says is lower than expected demand. Given that it just recently put the price of its entry-level models up, while bringing the cost of its high-end models down, it feels that making a more affordable version would have attracted more sales. GM has announced it's investing $1.4 billion into its Brazilian subsidiary, with the majority of those funds earmarked for electric vehicle development. The Brazilian government is currently pushing hard to attract more auto industry investment. US President Biden has blocked an attempt by Congress to block a temporary waiver put in place to allow charging infrastructure containing Chinese components to be eligible for federal funding. Ultimately, the goal is to only fund domestic-made charging stations. As part of the opening of its Stage 2 production facility, Lucid CEO Peter Rawlinson teased a mid-size electric car platform that would ultimately cross-shop against the Tesla Model 3 and Tesla Model Y. It is a long way from production plans, however. What aren't a long way from production are the Kia EV3 and EV4. That's because Kia has just completed the necessary upgrades to its production facility in Korea, where it plans to make both vehicles. We should see production cars rolling off the line very soon. After successfully teasing other electric models online, BMW has just published a very short teaser video on YouTube for its upcoming i5 M60 Touring performance. While we have to wait for official reveals for specs, rumours are that this particular 5 Series EV sedan will be very fun. Jeep has been teasing images of its Wagoneer S electric SUV, with the brand posting images of the same to its social media account. Jeep says the S designation means speed, and it promises a sprint time of around 3.5 seconds and over 400 miles of range. Acura has priced its 2024 ZDX, the first all-electric model for the brand, from $64,500 plus destination fee. The vehicle has yet to officially launch, but that's due to take place in the next few months. Reporting from Reuters suggests that Panasonic is delaying plans to establish a third battery production facility in the US. Known for its long-standing battery partnership with Tesla, there were rumours it was looking to build a factory in Oklahoma, but that is apparently no longer happening. While Cruise struggles with regulators in California over its robotaxi services, competitor Waymo appears to have no such worries and is looking to expand its own robotaxi service to LA, one of the most stressful and complicated places to drive on the entire US West Coast. At the launch of the new Macan EV truck this week, a vehicle that's designed for long-distance electric transportation in Europe, the company's CEO stated that he believes it's now impossible for hydrogen fuel cell trucks to effectively compete with battery electric trucks in the marketplace. Yet, MAN is still working on a hydrogen fuel cell truck. Maserati has become the latest brand to push back EV plans, and its 2 confirmed electric models are already facing significant delays for ramp-up. Now the company has confirmed its planned Quattroporte Sedan, the 3rd EV from the firm, is now effectively on ice indefinitely. Porsche, meanwhile, is showing no doubt over its electric future and teased a video of its new Taycan EV undergoing final testing ahead of reveal this spring. Reading between the lines, it will get a whole new drivetrain and battery pack setup, and I cannot wait to drive it. Canoo has begun delivering its LDV 130 electric vehicles to Kingbee. Part of a 9,300 vehicle order, Kingbee joins Walmart, NASA and several other big names of the list of firms due to take delivery of Canoo's first production vehicle. Elon Musk famously claimed the Tesla Cybertruck could float on water, but now BYD says it wants to make that a reality. This week, its executives told Automobile Watch that he plans to make an electric SUV similar to the Land-Rover Defender that can float on water for at least 30 minutes. Cadillac is finally ramping up production of its Lyriq SUV following more than 2 years of limited production. GM says it's solved the battery shortages that were plaguing Lyriq production and plans to ramp up to meet high demand for luxury electric SUVs. And finally, for the shorts, the US Postal Service has officially welcomed a new fleet of Ford e-Transit and companion charging stations to its Atlanta sorting office in Georgia. It's also just signed a massive deal with Canoo to use the LDV 130 at locations across the country. And those are your shorts. There will be more next week. Our final 2 stories are next, but first a quick word from one of today's video sponsors, Atmos Financial. Imagine a bank where your savings not only grow, but also go towards growing a greener world. That's exactly what Atmos Financial does for you. With Atmos, every dollar in your checking and savings account is funding projects that light up lives with solar energy, not fossil fuels. Atmos is banking that builds a better tomorrow with every swipe of your card because they're committed to investing 100% in clean, equitable and sustainable progress. With a 3.5% savings rate and a mobile app, your finances and the climate go hand in hand. It charges no monthly fees and there are no minimums keeping you awake at night, and it offers accessible solar loans for those who want to give the fossil fuel industry the ultimate middle finger. By joining Atmos using the link below, you're not only choosing a smarter way to bank, you're planting seeds for a healthier earth. And every sign-up supports our channel, so we can help bring you the content you love. I'm a customer and I love knowing that I'm helping save money and making sure that that money doesn't end up funding the fossil fuel industry. And now it's time for those last 2 stories. For as long as I've been covering the electric vehicle world, which is nearly 20 years, Toyota has remained incredibly skeptical about EVs, despite making the amazingly fun and practical RAV4 EV from the turn of the century, a vehicle which, frankly, could, had the history books have been different, made it bigger than Tesla in the EV world today. At the heart of Toyota's skepticism, at least in recent years, is Akio Toyoda, chairman of the board at Toyota and former company CEO. Despite being replaced as CEO last year, he still holds a lot of sway at the company, and this week, Toyota's corporate newsletter, Toyota Times, republished comments he made at a recent event in Japan at which he yet again attacked EVs, stating that he does not see battery electric vehicles hitting more than 30% market share. He called for more internal combustion engines, hybrids and hydrogen fuel cell drivetrains to be developed and produced. At least his skepticism is consistent. And finally, while transitioning the fleet to electric vehicles should be a top priority for automakers, one thing that isn't thought about much is efficiency and the impacts efficiency has on EV range. But this week, Hyundai Motor Group, which includes Hyundai, Kia and Genesis brands, released a new efficiency booster that it hopes to develop to include in future models. It's called an air skirt, essentially a movable piece of underbody trim that can pop out. It's designed to deploy to deflect air around a vehicle, which improves its aerodynamics and therefore its efficiency at highway speeds. This is all without sacrificing ground clearance. It's specifically designed for larger vehicles like SUVs, which tend to sit far higher above the road and have massive wheels that can dramatically affect aerodynamic qualities. While it will add extra complexity, because presumably motors, this has to be better than that passive trim panel that you know is going to scrape on every single speed hump you drive over. Right? And on that note, we are done for today. As always, a massive thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. They've been advocating for EVs since 1967, and they firmly believe that our future depends on us making the switch to clean, green electric cars today. The EVA can help you find someone near to you that can help you make the switch to electric. It can help you become an EV educator, and it can point you in the direction of monthly meetups for like-minded EV fans. Plus, if you become a member, you'll gain access to a clean energy and EV loan program set up between the EVA and the Colorado Clean Energy Credit Union. So find out more by heading to electricauto.org. And thanks to Energy Sage, follow the links below to find out how easy it can be to get verified, trustworthy experts helping you make the step towards energy self-sufficiency, either through solar of the roof of your home, joining a local community solar project, or having a heat pump installed. And thanks to Atmos Financial, bank better by following the link below. As usual, we would love it if you'd consider supporting the channel from $1 a month on Patreon, or about $10.08 a year. And don't forget to buy Erin's latest amazing design, Electric for All. It's our January exclusive t-shirt design in the merch store, and she's planning a new design every month this year. I've already seen the one for February, and it's going to be epic as well. And don't worry, every month's t-shirt will stick around after the month has ended in our store, so if you like collecting, you'll be able to buy the set. And of course, we'll be back next week as usual with content going out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Before I go, I just want to acknowledge the difficult week that it's been for some of my siblings in the LGBTQIA+ community following multiple states passing new anti-trans and or anti-LGBTQ laws. I know many people get upset when I bring politics onto this channel, but at the same point, when members of our community have effectively been made illegal in another US state, and many people who aren't in those communities don't know anything about it, it's kind of well worth a mention. As a side note, Utah's latest law means that we as a channel can no longer fly through or to it, or indeed travel to it, because, well, I know that my bladder isn't that big. And if you're feeling the same as we did earlier this week, know that you are valid, you are seen, and you're not alone. We're not giving up. So, until next time, stay safe, regardless of your identity or who you love. Be an amazing ally, be kind, and please, for the sake of everyone's future, keep evolving.